Every single one of us dreams of success, but dreams without discipline are nothing more than wishes. We wait for motivation, we wait for inspiration, we wait for the right moment. Yet life doesn't change through waiting, it changes through training your mind. Discipline is not about punishment, it's about freedom. Freedom to choose what serves you over what tempts you. Freedom to stay committed even when it hurts. Freedom to say yes to your goals and no to your excuses. And when you train your brain for discipline, you unlock the strength to create the life you truly desire. Discipline begins with small daily choices. We often think of discipline as this grand, impossible standard. Waking up at 4 a.m., working nonstop, or sacrificing everything in the name of success. But real discipline is not about giant leaps. It's about the little steps you choose every single day. It starts the moment you open your eyes in the morning. Do you reach for your phone and lose yourself in distractions? Or do you take a breath and remind yourself of the day you want to create? Do you give in to what feels easy? Or do you choose what moves you closer to your purpose? The truth is, greatness is not built in sudden bursts of motivation. It is built in quiet moments of decision. The decision to drink water instead of another soda. The decision to read for 10 minutes instead of scrolling endlessly. The decision to show up for your work, even when you don't feel like it. These choices seem small, past, almost insignificant, but stacked together, they become the foundation of discipline. Once built, becomes your greatest ally. Your brain is like a muscle, and every small choice is a repetition that strengthens it. When you choose discipline over distraction, you are training your brain to trust you. You are teaching yourself that your words, your promises, your goals actually mean something. Each time you follow through on a small action, you prove to yourself that you are capable. That proof builds momentum, and momentum is far more powerful than waiting for motivation. The beauty of starting small is that it removes the excuse of perfection. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. You only need to master the next choice. And once you master the next choice, you master the next one after that. Over time, these choices create habits, and habits create identity. Suddenly, you no longer have to fight with yourself about whether you'll exercise, read, study, or work. You just do it because that's who you've become. Discipline feels hard in the beginning because your brain resists change. It craves comfort, it craves ease, it craves the familiar. But every time you make one disciplined choice, you weaken that resistance. You start proving to your mind that comfort is not the goal, growth is. Past, and growth only comes when you choose to rise above what is easy and step into what is necessary. That is why discipline always begins with the small daily choices. They are the seeds. They don't look like much at first, but given time, they grow into strength, resilience, and success. Every big dream you see realized in the world is rooted in those unseen everyday decisions. Self-control is built by delaying instant gratification. We live in a world that constantly teaches us to want everything right now. One click, one swipe, one tap, and whatever you desire is in front of you. The problem is, this culture of immediacy weakens your ability to wait, and when you can't wait, you can't grow. Because every meaningful achievement in life requires patience. Health requires months of consistent choices. Education requires years of commitment. Success in any field is not about what you get instantly, but about what you're willing to work for over time. Delaying gratification is like exercising a muscle most people don't use. Think about it. When you choose not to eat that extra slice of cake, when you save your money instead of spending it on something useless, when you study for another hour instead of turning on the TV, you're not just giving something up. You're teaching your brain that the reward is coming, but not yet. You're training your mind to tolerate discomfort in the short term for the sake of a bigger, more meaningful outcome in the long term. It's easy to say yes to the things that feel good right now. But what feels good right now is often the very thing that holds you back. The easy path is always tempting because it demands nothing from you. But ask yourself, what has instant gratification ever built? Has it built character? Has it built resilience? Has it built success? The answer is no. Everything that truly matters is born out of sacrifice, and sacrifice always requires you to wait. Self-control isn't about denying yourself joy. It's about choosing the right joy at the right time. It's about saying, I could give in to this now, But I choose to hold on because what I truly want is worth more than this momentary pleasure. That decision may feel small in the moment, but it's shaping your future. Each time you resist the pull of instant gratification, you strengthen the muscle of discipline. And the stronger that muscle becomes, the easier it gets to make choices that align with your highest goals instead of your passing impulses. The truth is, success is nothing more than compounded self-control. One day of discipline doesn't change your life, but 1,000 days of choosing long-term growth over short-term pleasure does. That is why delaying gratification is so powerful. It shifts your entire focus from what feels good now to what will feel extraordinary later. And when you finally arrive at that later, you realize that the wait, the sacrifice, the discipline was the very thing that made the success worthwhile. Consistency matters more than intensity. Many people start with a burst of passion. They set big goals, make big promises, and push themselves to extremes in the beginning. But then, as soon as the excitement fades or life gets hard, they stop. The truth is, it doesn't matter how intensely you start. What matters is whether you keep going when it's no longer exciting. Discipline is not proven in the first week of energy. It's proven in the months and years of steady commitment. Think of it this way, going to the gym once for 4 hours will not transform your body. But going for 30 minutes, 5 times a week over the course of a year will change everything. Reading one book in a single day is not the same as reading 10 pages every night for a year. Writing 20 pages in a burst of inspiration isn't as impactful as writing 1 page every morning until you've completed an entire book. Intensity may give you a spark, but consistency builds the fire that keeps burning. The human brain thrives on patterns. When you show up regularly, you're not just building habits, you're rewiring your brain to see that action as part of your identity. You no longer have to force yourself to do it. It becomes automatic. That's the power of consistency. It takes discipline from being an effort to being a lifestyle. And once it's part of who you are, success becomes inevitable. Many people quit because they don't see instant results. They expect dramatic change from short bursts of effort, and when it doesn't appear, they give up. But success is invisible in the beginning. Progress happens quietly, often without recognition, until one day the results are undeniable. Consistency is about trusting that process, even when you can't yet see the outcome. It's about believing that every small action matters, because over time, they add up to something extraordinary. Consistency also teaches humility. It reminds you that success isn't about grand gestures, it's about discipline in the ordinary moments. Waking up on time, showing up to practice, writing that single paragraph, making that healthier choice. None of these things seem impressive in isolation, but stacked together day after day, they become unstoppable. And here's the truth: intensity will always fade, but consistency builds resilience. When you are consistent, you learn how to keep going even when it's boring, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one is watching. That is what separates those who succeed from those who quit. Anyone can be intense for a short while, but very few can stay consistent. And it's the few who do that end up building lives others only dream about. Your environment shapes your habits. No matter how strong you believe your willpower is, if you surround yourself with the wrong influences, your discipline will eventually weaken. Think about it. If you're trying to eat healthy but your kitchen is filled with junk food, temptation is always just an arm's length away. If you're trying to stay focused but your phone is buzzing every minute with notifications, distraction is sitting right next to you. Your environment is constantly pulling at you, either supporting your goals or sabotaging them. Discipline doesn't exist in isolation. It thrives when you build an environment that makes the right choices easier and the wrong choices harder. If you want to read more, keep a book by your bed instead of your phone. If you want to exercise, lay out your clothes the night before so there's no excuse. If you want to focus, clear your workspace of clutter and silence unnecessary notifications. These small changes in your surroundings create massive changes in your behavior, because they reduce the friction between you and the actions you want to take. It's not just physical environment, it's also the people you surround yourself with. If you spend time with those who constantly complain, who lack discipline, who indulge in excuses, you will absorb that energy. Slowly, without even realizing it, you'll start mirroring their habits. But if you surround yourself with people who value growth, who hold themselves accountable, who push through challenges past, you'll rise to meet their standard. Your circle either drains your discipline or strengthens it. This is why it's so important to be intentional about your environment. Don't just rely on your willpower. Design your surroundings to support your goals. Willpower is temporary, but environment is constant. When the world around you is aligned with your dreams, discipline feels less like a struggle and more like a natural flow. There's also a psychological truth at play. Your environment sends signals to your brain about who you are. A clean workspace signals clarity. A messy room signals chaos. A fridge stocked with healthy food signals self-care. Each cue you place in your environment reinforces the identity you're building. Over time, those signals shape your mindset, and your mindset shapes your discipline. So often, people blame themselves for a lack of self-control, when in reality, the issue is not their character, it's their environment. Change your environment and you change your behavior. Discipline becomes less about fighting constant battles and more about removing unnecessary resistance. At the end of the day, your environment is either a silent partner in your success or a silent enemy in your downfall. If you want to train your brain for discipline, start by training your surroundings. Because when your environment supports you, discipline stops being a fight and starts becoming who you are. Failure is feedback, not defeat. One of the biggest misconceptions about discipline is that it requires perfection. That once you commit, you can never slip, never stumble, never fall. But the truth is, everyone fails. Everyone breaks a promise to themselves at some point. Everyone gives in to temptation or loses focus along the way. What separates those who succeed from those who don't is not the absence of failure, but the way they respond to it. Failure is not the end of the road. It is information. It is life's way of showing you what's not working, where your weaknesses are, and what needs to change. If you miss a workout, if you overspend your budget, if you waste time on distractions, that moment doesn't erase all the progress you've made. It simply shines a light on the gaps in your discipline. And once you see the gaps, you can address them. That's how growth happens, through adjustment, not through shame. Too often, people take failure personally. They label themselves as lazy, undisciplined, or not good enough. But these labels only trap you in a cycle of guilt and inaction. Instead, you must train your brain to look at failure with curiosity. Ask yourself, why did I make that choice? What triggered me? What can I do differently next time? When you see failure as feedback, it becomes a teacher instead of an enemy. The truth is, failure builds resilience. Every time you fall and get back up, you strengthen your ability to endure discomfort. You prove to yourself that you are stronger than setbacks, that you can keep moving even when the path isn't perfect. That persistence is the essence of discipline, not never falling, but refusing to stay down when you do. In fact, some of the most disciplined people in the world are the ones who have failed the most, because failure gave them practice in persistence. They learned that discipline is not about flawless execution, but about consistent recovery. Every failure becomes fuel if you let it, pushing you to refine your systems, strengthen your habits, and deepen your commitment. The key is to shorten the gap between failure and recommitment. Many people fall off track and stay there for days, weeks, even years. Discipline is built when you shorten that delay, when you say, yes, I failed today, but tomorrow I try again. Over time, that practice of returning to discipline becomes more important than the failure itself. So when failure shows up, don't see it as defeat. See it as data. See it as an invitation to grow stronger, to adapt, and to refine your discipline. Because the people who ultimately succeed are not the ones who never fall, but the ones who never stop rising. Discipline creates freedom, not restriction. Many people hear the word discipline and immediately think of rules, rigidity, and limitation. They imagine a life where joy is absent, where every choice feels like a punishment, where freedom is taken away. But the truth is the opposite. Real discipline is not about trapping yourself. It's about setting yourself free. It is the very tool that allows you to design the life you want, instead of being controlled by impulses, distractions, or other people's demands. Think about it. Without discipline, you become a prisoner of your moods. Past. You only work when you feel like it. You only eat well when it's convenient. You only move forward when circumstances are perfect. And because feelings are unreliable, your life becomes inconsistent. You're pulled in every direction by temptation, procrastination, or laziness. That